Hi, this is Jim from Vinyl Effects, and today we're going to demonstrate how to apply some decals. So this application will be the same in most products, whether that's a window, you're putting your store hours in your window, 4x4 on your truck, whatever the case may be. This is a general way of putting on basic decals. So the first thing you need to do is get your tools in place, and you're going to need a cleaner that is alcohol based. Other cleaners that are oil based are going to leave a film, and you're never going to get good adhesion. So alcohol based cleaner, you're going to want to get some masking tape, a squeegee, tape measure, and an X-Acto knife. Maybe the most important thing you're going to need, however, is a lint-free rag, and it needs to be lint-free because as you're cleaning, anything that you leave behind, any piece of lint, that's going to make a bubble. So the more lint you have, the more bubbles you're going to have. So lint-free is the way to go. So let's get started. First thing you're going to do is you're going to clean your surface, and make sure as you clean it that you make it perfectly dry. The reason you want it perfectly dry is the backing paper to your decal is just that, paper. And there's a little bit of wax on the other side that keeps the glue clean. If this backing paper gets wet, the wax will separate and be stuck to the adhesive on your decal, and you're going to need to buy a new decal. So make sure it is dry. The method we're going to use today is the hinge method. People say you can put decals on wet, and that is true, but there's a lot of drawbacks to putting it on wet. First thing you need to do is get a couple of control tabs so you have control of the product. Now, if you buy your decal from a reputable sign shop, it will come with what we call a weed border, and that will be square to your decal, and you can measure to that. If you buy your decal at a fly-by-night 5 and dime place, you're going to see that it's cut crooked, and although that saves the guy who made it some time, it's going to make your job a lot harder. If you bought one of those decals, you're going to need to find a straight edge to measure to. You can't use like a letter O or a 0 or anything like that because it's rounded and they're taller than a flat decal. So you'd need to find like an N or the number 1, something that has a flat bottom, and that's what you're going to measure to. The guy that made this decal knew what he was doing, so they're square. Alright, so let's measure that right away. What we have right now is 2 1/4 inches, 2 1/4 inches. That's a pretty good guess. Pretty good guess. So I don't need to move anything. If I did have to move it, your little control tabs let you do that, okay? So this is not for resale, so I'm just going to eyeball that there. The next thing you do is you make your hinge. Now typically you're going to put a hinge through the shortest axis. Alright? So I cut that one a little short, but in this case we're going to go horizontal to the decal. Alright? There's your hinge. Okay, so you start by folding your decal over in half, okay? Don't fold it flat, just enough to get control of it. And here's where a lot of people wreck the decal right off the back, is they whip this backing paper off, but if you don't get good adhesion with your pre-mask, you can tear the decal because it'll be left behind on that wax paper, and once you tear the decal, you know, go to your sign shop, buy your new decal. Take your X-Acto knife and cut your backing paper away. It's good to use an X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors, because if you just tear it by hand, this paper will leave a lot of lint. And when you fold that over, you're going to get lint in there and a row of bubbles. So better to have a sharp tool for that. Okay, so get control of the decal, and you want to have a little belly in it. So you don't want a kink or anything like that. You want to get a bit of a belly in there, okay? And that belly is going to be your friend because that's going to hold the decal straight. Okay, so decal's starting to be adhered there now. And what you're going to do is have overlapping strokes. You don't want to try to do it all in one big sweep. You want to overlap what you're doing. Take the hinge off. Take the other half of your decal, and again, slowly pull your backing paper off. Okay, so I'm trying to, there we go. Went too quick and I've ripped it. Okay, so you're going to need to go in, get that started again. Alright, so the advantage of going slow is evident. Alright, Great. So, again, get that belly. Get that belly working for you. And again, you start in the middle, down, start in the middle, down, overlapping strokes. And the pressure that you're using is like a good firm handshake. A good firm handshake. Because what you're doing is you're trying to get the air out. So if you don't apply enough pressure, what you're doing is you're getting the adhesion, but you're not pushing that air out. So you're going to have a lot of bubbles. So a good firm handshake. You don't have to push it through the table, but a good firm handshake. All right, that looks good. The next problem area that people get into is when they pull their pre-mask off. That pre-mask is also called carrier paper, or it's called positioning paper. Okay, and what that does is make sure all of your things stay together, so you don't have to measure each line to put it on. Okay, so when you pull it off, keep the backing and the pre-mask together, okay? So if you pull up like this, you're working against the glue, and you get that little, you know, row of bubbles there. So keep it flat, pull it off at an angle, don't rush it. All right? So that is that. Take your time, do it right the first time, and you should get a nice decal each time. So again, measure from something straight to something straight. That's a very critical part. So if you have any questions, or you'd like to see how you can do more decal installations, just drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And again, this is Jim from Vinyl FX. Thanks for tuning in.